I was once a great protector of my world, a great hero who was sent to solve the issues no one else could. When it required strength, I was asked to call up strength. When it required wisdom, I was asked to call up wisdom. When it required inspiring others, so I was used to inspire them as well. Such was my place in the world. Was not always perfect. My name had been used for many great deeds, but many dark deeds as well. But I stood for what I thought was right, and I fought for what I thought was right. And when I made mistakes, I corrected for them. So I thought that was meant to be my place in the world. The hero of the world who was simply meant to protect it. But then they came. A force from beyond our world, far stronger than any I had seen. A single one of their kind was like a natural disaster, but one that was intelligent, one that hated, one that had no empathy or sympathy for me or my kind. I was asked to fight them, and while I could fight them one-on-one, there were always many more. If I could overpower one, 9 more would continue their rampage. If I managed to kill one, 10 more would take their place. Eventually, my world continued to die, and soon I was the last left. Not because I wasn't winning battles, but because it didn't matter how many battles I won, I couldn't be everywhere at once. I didn't realize I was the last until they took me away. They overpowered me eventually. It took thousands of them, but they did. And when they did, they told me, with no small pride, that I was the last. They showed me in great detail what they did to my people. They showed me how much torture a child could endure. They showed me all their tactics and strategies. They showed me how they left those wounded out in the streets for the others to come out and to try to save them. They showed me how they used my name to show weakness. They showed me how they left entire cities in dust. Great wonders, great monuments, our histories, our sciences, our art, all sought out, all destroyed. They took anything they thought was valuable and left the rest to ash. And when all was ash, they simply removed my planet. I don't know how they did it. I was watching from their ship, and I just watched as my planet simply was one moment, and then the next, it was gone. That proved to me just how cruel that the enemy was. They could have simply annihilated the planet without us knowing. They could have simply taken whatever they wanted, without hurting us. But they wanted to hurt us. They wanted to make sure we suffered. And when there was none left of us to suffer, only then did they destroy our world. And even then, I thought maybe then they might kill me. I thought they may execute me. I thought they would finally just let me die. My captors were not so kind. Instead, they had me as a sort of trainer, stuck in a gladiatorial arena where they would send their young warriors to fight me. Again and again, the warriors would fight me, and again they would fall to me. Often I would leave them beaten and broken until they dragged themselves away. Sometimes I would kill them out of rage. But it did not matter whether I left them alive or I left them dead. Soon a new warrior would come out and would fight me, and I would be forced to fight back. At first, I thought it was simply their entertainment, just a slave meant for them to fight and die over and over again. Eventually, though, I realized that was not the whole story, though. It took hundreds, maybe thousands of their warriors, but eventually they began to learn. They learned how to get stronger. They learned how to get quicker. They learned how I moved. They learned what I did. They learned to dodge my blows and to land a few of their own. They learned how to weaken me. They learned how to hasten my fall. Eventually, one of the young warriors even managed to overpower me and knock me to the ground. I remember that warrior's face. He looked like one of my kind. If not for the armor and the symbols that he wore, he would have just been another or one of my kind. Maybe he's someone going to college or someone working at a coffee shop. Instead, he was a gladiator, a hardened fighter meant to fight for the entertainment of others. A young soldier proving his worth in combat. With his blade pointed at my chin, he looked to his trainer, the one in charge of the arena, and asked if I was to live or die. The trainer gave one order: die. That was the first time they managed to kill me. The blade entered my throat, and I felt what it was to suffer. I have been hurt before. I've experienced broken bones. I've experienced scratches. I've experienced heartbreak. In that moment, though, with the blade in my throat, it was different. The blade was both burning and cold at the same time. Where it entered my throat, air could not pass. I struggled to breathe and could feel myself begin to suffocate. As I grabbed the blade and pulled it out of my throat, that's when I realized the true cruelty of this. With the blade in my throat, I wouldn't bleed, but I wouldn't be able to breathe either. With the blade out of my throat, I could breathe for a while, but my blood would seep out of my body. Some of it falling to the ground, some of it falling into my lungs. In that moment, the very substance that gave me life was the very thing killing me. And the very thing that killed me was the only thing keeping me from dying. I chose to pull the blade out and suffocate on my blood. It took many minutes to die. Far, far too many minutes. It felt like going to sleep, but there were no dreams on the other end. Just a sort of darkness. And as the last of my awareness faded, I woke back up in the arena. Memories of what happened before and fighting a new warrior. I fought the warriors again and again, and many of them I was able to defeat. But just like before, they learned, and they learned quicker than before. They overpowered me again. They outsmarted me again. And once again, they looked to their trainer and asked, "Do I live or do I die?" And every time, the trainer asked for my death. I died in many different ways. Decapitation, bleeding out, removal of the limbs, being gutted. Every death was different, but the end was always the same. A fading of awareness, and then waking back up in the arena for another fight. It took me a long time until I overheard the trainer explaining to one of the young warriors. "What we have here is one of our training dummies, a digital ghost of one of our many defeated enemies. This digital ghost is useful for training purposes, but lacks no other purpose. It is meant to fight, it is meant to die. Once it dies, we simply reboot another one. It is useful to us, though, because it is a strong enemy, and one that we have faced before, but only once. But we don't know if we will ever face it again." So that made me realize my body wasn't truly my body, and my life was not really my life. I don't know how many lifetimes I have lived or died. I know that the trainer has changed many times. I know that the ship around me has changed as well. And even though, I know I was real once, I am losing my memories of whatever I used to be or whatever I am a copy of. I can no longer remember the color of my skies. I can no longer tell you how many stars were listed above. I couldn't tell you if my planet had a moon or no moon. I couldn't even tell you the face of any other people on my planet. I don't even recognize my own face when I look at it. I don't know if that's simply because my memories have been erased or if my body has changed so many times. All I remember now is the fight. All I remember now is survival. All I remember is that I exist to fight. I exist to train them. I try to hang on to what I once was. I don't know if I was a hero or a villain or a warrior or simply nothing at all. Just an unlucky survivor who happened to be the last one captured. I don't know if I was great or if that's simply something I told myself. I don't even know if I've actually managed to kill any of them, because all the fights now just feel like they are always a loss. Yes, I always fight. Yes, I always try something new, but every time I am overpowered, I am outsmarted, and I am defeated. I have heard the trainer say many times that it may be time to get a new training dummy. I don't know what that means. I don't know if that means that my mind will simply be erased, if my body will be replaced, or if they're going to find a new planet to subjugate. My enemy is many, and I know this is my last fight. I know it's my last fight because the trainer is here. My body is unable to move, but he approaches. He approaches and he carries a weapon in hand. It takes me a moment to see that the blade is familiar, and it takes a moment longer to realize the trainer's eyes are familiar. Even after all these years, even with the gray hair, the wrinkles, and the sallow skin, I recognize that young boy, the boy who was the first to defeat me. Well, now, he is the one who trains others to defeat me and to defeat others of my kind. And just as he was the first to kill me, he will now be the last.